All right, well, let's continue on from the little intro that I did. Off camera, I went ahead and I did a lot of cleaning and stuff just because I didn't want to bore you guys with all of that. Plus, there's plenty of cleaning tutorials and videos out there. So initially, I wanted to go ahead and clean the logic board with soap and water and all that, but I kind of chickened out. Didn't want to take any chances, despite the fact that I removed all the chips that I could remove and the RAM sticks and everything, but I didn't want to risk missing a spot with soap underneath the solder chips or something, and then over time it corrodes and all of that. So I just decided to go with a toothbrush and some IPA. It's not perfect, but all the dust is gone at the very least. So that was the ultimate goal for that. I also went ahead and, where is it at here? Just kind of dusted off the chassis, the frame. It's in good shape now. Analog board, same thing. So when I removed the fan, unfortunately, the screws became kind of stripped. Let me see if I have. So, yeah, they were really on there. Whatever thread locker Apple was using at the time was very strong. And also, unfortunately, I scraped the PCB a little bit, but this is a ground plane, so it's not that big of a deal. I can go ahead and just put some solder mask on there, but it was basically from this guy right here. You can even see the blue thread lock that's left on there. That's fine, though. In terms of the screws, I was able to go to a hardware store and find some replacements. They had an almost exact match, so not too concerned with that. Neck board, clean as much as I can get it anyway, including, and I did remove this plastic insulating layer. Speaker, it's in good shape, not torn or anything like that as far as I could tell. Hopefully it still works. Power supply, same thing. Everything is all clean, basically. And I do have the chips and anti-static bags temporarily just to make sure that remain functional and don't absorb any static electricity or anything like that. To remove the band mount, I had to use these vice grips to grip the top of the screw head and just twist everything. So just as an FYI, in case any of you run into some issues, it might require some brute force, unfortunately. So the shells and everything are clean, retro brighted, and they are drying, but I do have the expansion port cover, and it is light years ahead of what it was. So hopefully the results came out well. So yeah, so there's not much to this video in terms of anything with the boards or anything like that. Because like I said, I did it all off camera. Gotta wait for the rest of the parts to finish drying, mainly the plastic chassis, the shell and everything, because I need at least the front half to be able to mount the CRT to. I also need to apply the solder mask to that so that it doesn't corrode over time, as well as a couple of these extra scratches that may or may not have been me. I have no idea. I took a closer look at the board itself here. I didn't see any cracked solder joints or anything, so I'm not sure if there actually are any. I'll have to double check. I mean, I guess when we power it on, we'll see. And if something isn't working right, then I'll go ahead and reflow. Everything looks like it's fine, so I'm just going to go ahead. Like I said, I'll get that solder mask on there, reattach the fan, and we'll come back once everything else is dry and hopefully test it. So I went ahead and reassembled the analog board off camera, just to save a little bit of time. Did put the solder mask on, take care of it. Not pretty, but it'll at least protect the PCB and the ground plane. And there's everything here. Yeah, so let's go ahead. I don't have any room to put this stuff anymore. All right, so let's go ahead and revisit the logic board, the motherboard, for those in the PC world. And we need to repopulate the chips. Start with the VLSI. Where is the notched end at? Right here. I did spray deoxit on these sockets and everything ahead of time. There. Also scratched it a little bit when I tried to remove it. The chip puller just wasn't able to latch underneath the actual chip itself. So I ended up using, can't find it, but I ended up just using a really fine tip flathead and just kind of very slowly and gently pried up each side, and that seemed to work fine. So next we'll go ahead and put in the high-low ROM and the WMI chip, or the IWM, I'm sorry, integrated WAS machine. So high, low, and WAS. And fortunately, I did label these. The notches are down here, pointing down towards the front of the board. mount the low and woes. There. And last but not least, the most precarious part, the RAM, because these are plastic sockets, slots, because why not? Hopefully these ramp sticks work. I don't want to have to remove them again, if I can help it. All right. The only thing I don't have yet is a battery option. I'm still waiting for an order to come in, which, again, it's not a big deal. I don't need the battery, and I do have other options that I can just solder in anyway. I can just put a coin cell socket or something like that. I've got little kits that already have a diode in them because I don't think this battery is rechargeable. Yeah, these are just lithiums. They're not rechargeable. So I can even just put a standard coin cell in there. I wouldn't be able to just put it in there because of the fact that the spacing is a little bit different. I'd have to maybe connect it to a wire or something like that, which wouldn't be that bad of an idea anyway, but we'll worry about that later. Again, we don't need it right now. So let me go ahead and check on the case and everything, see if it's dried. I want to make sure it's 100% dry, so that way I can mount the CRT to it, mount the frame chassis to it, so that I can mount the analog board to that. I don't necessarily need to put this in, although I probably will, just to make sure everything still fits correctly. And we'll just do a basic power on self-test, power button on, and see if we get anything on screen. If we do, we'll continue on. I'll plug into BlueSCSI and see if it boots. And I don't remember if the Mac SE actually provides 5 volts to the port or not, if you still have to do the mod. I'll have to double check that, because if not, then I'll have to grab a USB cable so I can hook that up, get external power. All right, we'll take a look at the shell. I think it came out well enough anyways. Definitely not yellowed anymore. There's some minor spots where there's some slight yellowing, like down here and maybe within the grooves, but I don't really care that much, to be perfectly honest. It's fine. Definitely better shape than it was when I first got it. And here's the back half. Here's the side, the back, other side, and the top. And I don't know if I'm going to get this all in frame here. Nope, won't be able to. It's just too darn tall. So, but it's not yellowed anymore. After giving a cleaning, there are some scratches and gouges. Unfortunately, I can't do much about that. So we'll just have to worry about that at a later time. But I did find out, at least based on some searching, that the M5011 should be providing 5 volts to the external SCSI port, whereas the 5010 does not. So don't know if it actually applies to my model or not, because a lot of people said that their 5011 were the FDHD version, so the 1.44 megabyte floppy disk version. So I don't know if there's a difference between that 5011 and this one, but whatever. I am missing a foot. I'll have to find one. I don't have any gray ones. Maybe I'll put a clear one in there. Maybe I'll replace all of them with the same color just so it all matches. We'll see. But I don't need the back half right now. I do need the front half, though. Like I said, that's where the CRT mounts to. Right here. And even though the analog board doesn't mount to it, it does kind of slot in here, and the brightness control comes over here. Or is that contrast? I think it's brightness. Anyway, doesn't matter. So we'll go ahead and I'll grab the CRT. We'll mount that first because I'm pretty sure we have to. If I remember correctly. Again, it's been a really long time since I took this all apart. Yeah, we'll have to get the CRT in there first. I mean, I could put this in there and then the CRT, but I kind of feel like this would throw off the balance if I have it on there first. So, something I didn't notice before, but some bad news about the CRT. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but there is burn-in. There's the menu bar right there. So, yeah, fortunately not the best option, but it's the only CRT I have, and it's the one that it came with, so kind of stuck with it that way. But that's fine. At least I know which way is up now. Unlike when I goofed up with the Mac Plus and I had to flip it all around and take half apart again. So now what do I do with the screws? Oh, I labeled them. Look at that. Maybe I'll hold out hope one day and find a replacement CRT. I will not tighten them just yet. I want to make sure the alignment is as perfect as I can try and get it. Alright, so let's see. Won't be perfect, but it'll be, like I said, good enough. Carefully. Yeah, that's it. So inspect everything, nothing's broken. Got the neck board, and if you're not sure how it goes on, it's always going to be keyed. There's one missing here, and if you see, there's one missing here. So in theory, it should just go on like so. There. And I just realized I need to attach the ground here, so let me loosen this screw back up again. And I've got these screws somewhere as well. Labeled these two. And like with the CRT, I'm not going to over tighten so that I can adjust and reposition if I need to. In fact, I might only put 3 of the screws in because this will have to come back out so I can put the drive cage back in when I'm ready to, of course. And we'll just, like I said, we'll do a power on test first, make sure that works, and then we'll plug in the BlueSCSI and see if it boots. And then we can mess with the floppy disk drive. Now the analog board, which is heavy and only secures to the chassis right at the bottom here because, you know, why not? Oh, look at that. It just falls into place. Okay, so I was wrong. There actually are 2 more screws down here to hold it in place. So, of course, the furnace was off all day, and now it kicks in while I'm in the middle of recording. So, apologies. I'll try to edit out some of the background noise. It's secured. Again, we just want to test it for now. We'll continue on. Can be all the power connections as well as cap there. Fortunately, I'm not going to get it all in frame, but hopefully you'll get a feel for it. There. I don't think we necessarily need it, but just in case. Alright, let's make a last power connection. And that can just hang there. I think that's everything, right? Let's go ahead and see if I can't reposition the camera so I can get a look at the screen. And we'll test it out. Okay, so this is the best angle I can get currently. I've got a power cable hooked up to a surge protector, hooked up to another surge protector. That way I can easily trip the breaker if I need to. Also, I do not have the speaker hooked up, so we won't hear the chime. Let's see what happens, though. Fan, so we've got power. I don't feel any static or hear anything, but... oh, we've got a picture. I don't know if it's coming in clearly, but... and the lines you see are just the raster lines, refresh rate differences, etc., etc. So it powers on, and we get a cursor. And it's looking for a boot disk. So let me go and grab the BlueSCSI and see if it works. All right, I got the BlueSCSI plugged in. Let's see if it'll boot. Hey! And it left off where I left it off on the Mac Plus. So it's working. Awesome. There's definitely some screen burning, though, unfortunately. I can see it very faintly, so it's not terrible. There's not going to be much I can do about that, unfortunately. But it's a nice and sharp picture, that's for sure. The other thing that needs to be done is the horizontal height needs to be adjusted. There is a control for that on the side here, but I'm not going to mess with that today. I'm just happy that it's working. There's still some work to do, obviously. I got to test the floppy disk drive, get the drive cages and prep the SCSI to SD, make sure that everything is working there, and then try that bad boy out and see if it works. And if it does, I will have an SE30. So if you guys have any tips, suggestions, anything else that I should try with it before we complete everything and close it up, leave some comments below. Let me know. Let me know some tips and tricks, your experiences, etc. Are you struggling repairing yours right now? Let's talk about it. Otherwise, thanks, guys. I'll catch you later.